Welcome to our weekly new global media talk show. Today is August 18, 2024. So today we have our guests here who will be speaking with us today on issues of the slow implementation of government white paper on TRRC recommendation, the challenges faced by the victims of Jammeh, and also the draft constitution. So I have Priscilla Yagu Ceesay, and is a lawyer. And Melvin Roberts is not on the line yet, and wonderful Sainey, but we have Prince Abubaccar Aminata Sankanu. Welcome to the show. And I have my co-host here, Sam Ceesay. Sam, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna jump right into it. But before we jump into it, I would like you guys to introduce yourself. Prince, you can come in, and Priscilla can follow suit.
All right, let's start. Let me know, bro, with the protocol. Ladies first. The only ladies in the platform can introduce herself.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
That's my mistake. I went by the first person to come in, but it should be ladies first. So let's give priority to Priscilla. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. My name's Priscilla Yagu Ceesay. I'm currently based in the Gambia, and I'm one of the co-founders of an organization called WAVE Gambia, not the Money Bureau.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's Women's Association for Women and Victims Empowerment, which is co-founded by several of those victims, and I'm one of those co-founders. We started in 2019, and we've been going strong, trying to work with victims of Jammeh as well as other women, and who are not necessarily victims. And in terms of victimization, we also do work with some men in the communities, because there are some incidents and in certain areas where it's not just about the woman. For example, the witch hunt, husbands and wives were taken, so we can't just go in and work with the woman and ignore their husband. So we have that engagement and interaction with men. Prior to that, I had a long 23-year history with the UN, starting from New York and in different field missions in different parts of the world. And I'm happy to be here and see how I can contribute to this interesting dialogue. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Prince, yeah. Prince, you can come in.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for having me. My name is Prince Abubaccar Aminata Sankanu, or just Sankanu. I'm the Deputy Government Spokesperson, Office of the President, in charge of the strategic communications of the state. Also lecture at the University of the Gambia School of Journalism. Filmmaker by profession, journalist with 30 years experience. But since 2019, I've also been in public policy, that is in administration and communication, and I was involved in the COVID-19 communication team, handling all these, sensitive matters regarding to public health emergency related matters. Yeah, in brief, that's my role so far.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, very good. Like I said, we don't need introduction. We always here anyway. So Sam and I. But just to jump in right away, the first topic that we have, which is the slow implementation of the government white paper on TRRC recommendation. We can speak on that, and then from there we can also talk about, we can incorporate the challenges of Jammeh's folks, and we can last with the constitution. We have almost like if you can knock down this within an hour or 45 minutes, that would be great. I'm sorry, within 30 minutes or 45 minutes. That's what I meant. Yeah. Thank you. So ladies first, we can, I don't want to make the mistakes again.
That's okay. Thank you. I mean, this is an issue which is quite close to our hearts because of the work we do in terms of the interactions and engagements with victims of under the former regime. And as much as there has been a lot of appreciation for what has transpired so far, I believe the pace of the TRRC as it rolled out, it's quite exemplary in terms of the speed and the work, the scope and everything else. We know, I mean, me having worked in so many different countries where we're still waiting for their truth commissions to take off, or having taken off for the recommendations to be implemented. So there has been significant kudos to the government for that in terms of that process. We're still in the ongoing transitional justice phase. And this is wherein some of the issues now arise, because several victims don't feel that they are being considered. They feel that the pace is slow, and that's one of the challenges. And yes, you can understand after you, like a relay race, you see the first person off the block has gone off really, really fast. And then it gets to the second person, and that the ones at the end, they're kind of waiting for the baton, and they're not seeing coming anytime now, and they think, what's happening? So this is where we're at, where victims are thinking that the implementation stage is slow. There's also not so much in terms of communications, and a lot of individuals have thought that by this time reparations would already have been much more stringent and comes into place. But then that has also been slow. I know there has been some engagement with different organizations, and our organization, WAVE, is part of the Alliance of Victim-Led Organizations, where we are actually working with the Ministry of Justice and other ministries in order to be able to gather information and pass it down to communities. And it is from that process and other processes that we do get a feedback, which we're sharing with the government. So it's a top-down, bottom-up interaction. And a few months ago now, we did have an audience with the president, and we did share some of these concerns with him. So he is aware. We understand that there are constraints, including financial constraints, but then who feels it knows it. It's like when one man is down, us standing up could always say, oh, bear up and chin up and all of that, but they're the ones who are actually feeling what their issues are. So we reminisce with them and also just encourage them that the process is ongoing and that we're working alongside with them in order to do what we can. And as civil society organizations, there are so many of us that are actually getting funding and support from other donor agencies. So with that, we're able to bridge the gap and stand in between what the government, not necessarily what they should be doing, but at least just trying to alleviate some of the suffering and ease some of the pain and help them understand where we're at. I'll stop there for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that's interesting. So yeah, so we would just hold on to your questions now. So let Prince Sankanu come in, and then from there, you know, Sam and I, if we have questions or comment, we can make. Okay.
I'm just going to stop my video because my connection's a bit unstable.
Sure.
Okay, I'll come back intermittently.
Okay. All right, Sankanu, you can come in and to contribute to this area. You will. Can you hear us?
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate for that deliberation. From the government side, it's important to understand that there is political will from the top executive. As my sister just mentioned, they had an audience with the president. So we are accessible. Whatever we are doing, we focus on participatory democracy. What you might think democratic process is very slow. It might not be fast, and it's something that affects life and livelihood of people. But what is important, the process that we are taking is participatory. We always involve the civil society in what we are doing. And I'm happy that in any time you engage the civil society in this transitional justice or other matters, they will say, okay, government has been very open and participatory, which is a break from the past tradition. And this is very important. So the transitional justice mechanism, it's going, and it's a process. It is something, it's not an event that can be done within a day, a week. It's a process, and it involves life, and it involves restructuring our society to ensure that, we don't fall back to the errors of the past. And just this week on Tuesday, I was part of the meeting whereby we validated the the Truth and Reconciliation Commission bill that my sister alluded to. It's all part of the recommendations of the TRRC. We need to have a permanent, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which will be there. The bill is already, the draft bill is validated. I was part of that meeting, fortunately, and it will go to the parliament. And we also, regarding the situation of the victims, especially those who are in serious health conditions, the medical board has been reconstituted. You recall that during the TRRC, there was a medical board established to handle those who are in urgent health care services. So, and this board has been reconstituted to ensure that the victims who cannot wait, they have underlying health problems caused by victimization or related, side effects are taken care of. And this is going on alongside with the budget of the Ministry of Health, which has programs in place. So these are going, and these are things that, the civil society and the media can always verify. The process is on. I mean, if you look at the recommendations of the TRRC, is bulky, but it's taking place. Even the transitional justice, we are now having a special prosecution unit at the Ministry of Justice trying to try those who are seriously found to be culpable. So the process is going. The security sector reform is also part of it. It's all part of the TRRC recommendation. Talking about our culture. If you look at our draft constitution, it's very elaborate. We talk about how our jockey relationship is promoting bonding and peace. And TRRC recommended that one. That's something that should be done. And then the draft constitution that is gazetted, you will see that culture is given prominence. Integration of the diaspora. I mean the barrier that have been there for diaspora have all been removed. So it is a holistic approach. It's a whole machinery of reforming society. So that's why. So the word slow, I'll be very careful, because at the end of the day, it's a participatory process. You have to involve people. You have to wait for some people. It takes some time. But urgent matters, are being handled. So looking at it, from a realistic point of view, I believe, we are on the right track. We are moving on the right direction. We just need to invite everybody to come on board. Government cannot do it alone. We need partners, civil society, the media, and everybody to guide us, to share their opinion and to do something so that we build a Gambia that will be productive for us and for generations to come.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I think, both sides has, elaborated good information here about this transitional justice, and then why it's slow to prosecute TRRC recommendation. TRRC has was completed like what before even 2021 election, right? So the recommendation has been passed, and then the government, just like how Jammeh Commission was looked at and has all the tools even before that election, but people thought the reason why this recommendation were not because the election was so close and they were putting on hold. But now it's after how many years now? I mean, 2001 is coming to 3 years. Still no signs of holding people accountable, and the victims are still. How long can they hold? If there is no political agenda behind this, if this is just to put the groups together on the same table to agree, I mean, what the government don't have the resources to do that? I mean, that is something that is really, really mind blowing to many people. And I understand the logistics involved. I understand you don't want to be wrong in doing that, but the TRRC was really successful in telling us the stories, what actually happened. And people have admitted and been, it was black and white. So there shouldn't be any hold back on implementation. It's just like Jammeh Commission, which also has some, criticism, because some people were not, reprimanded as they should somewhere. So if we want to be a serious nation, we have to be fair. As a social justice practitioner myself, I understand that, justice has to be served. It doesn't have to be favor or fear or opportunism. So the government is really, really, in control of some of this, and civil society, like what Priscilla is, working with, they're pushing their best out there, but we have to look at the sufferings of the victims. If I have my family member killed and it was revealed, I need, first of all, to be compensated somehow. And secondly, I need justice to be served. I need this person who did this need to have his share in the courts, and also perhaps pay for the price. So in as much as we are maslaha people, we like to forgive and forget, but these people need to feel settled. So that's the question Gambian people are waiting for. And I think we have both of you guys here, the government spokesperson, and then of course the civil society representative. We need to make this a priority. Excuses can be taken, but cannot be this long. Yeah, that is just my take on this. And then what is it that what is there any political thing behind this? That's my question. And if not, what do you think if you are in this situation and you lost your family member? How would you feel about the process? And that's my other question. So I will let you either answer that, and then any of you, and then we can Sam can comment.
Well, first of all, I'd like to make sure that I am not a politician. I'm not a political appointee. I'm a technocrat, a senior government official. So I look on the technocratic side of it, that things are doing. Like I said, on Tuesday, which is this week on the 13th, I was part of a team that was validating the Truth and Reconciliation Commission bill, which is one of the milestones for implementing the recommendation of the TRRC. Things might be slow from the outside, but somebody who is inside, who is an insider, I know that as part of my job every day, whatever I do, it concerns implementing the TRRC recommendations. Politically, it can have different dimensions here and there, but every day, whatever I do as a strategic communicator of the government internally, it involves implementing the TRRC recommendation. Even the access to information law, citizens need to have access to information. It's part of the TRRC recommendation. So we passed the law. The president assented to it. The commissioners have been appointed and so on, and government has allocated the budget. This information, we don't want to rush and go to court. The TRRC has also documented, has a lot of evidence that are gathered, and we have to secure those evidence, make sure that they are presented in court. We don't want to rush and take people to court and after it is dismissed. So there's a lot that needs to be done. So we have a special prosecution unit, and luckily this draft constitution also talk about an internationalized court. Our partners are not waiting. You can see Germany, Switzerland, and United States. They are helping us, prosecute those who are fugitives from justice. So we have some of these things, the capacity is there. ECOWAS, through their process, we can see going through the ECOWAS Parliament, ECOWAS Commission, partners. So this consultative process involved. Things might appear slow from the outside, but internally, from an insider perspective, I can say that we are moving it. I'm not aware of any political dilly-dally. I can talk about there is a political will which I can vouch for, which I'm part of implementing that political will.
Thank you. Okay, Priscilla, you can come in. And,
thank you. I won't diverge too much, but just to say, when, as always, we look at things from different perspectives, and like I said before, who feels it knows it. I'm just going to turn off my camera because I'm not feeling too good. From the perspectives of the victims, definitely, they want things to be done. They want things to move quite fast, and they want to see a process that's moving at a pace which is beyond where we are now. And definitely talking to victims, we have a number of victims in our organization. And we also have a number of founding members of the organization that are themselves victims, including victims of enforced disappearance, for example. Now, if you take that, we talked about the TRRC findings and the fact that, for example, in 2019, that a number of bodies were exhumed from the Yundum barracks, but then they've been sitting in the mortuary for all this time without the remains being handed over to the families and to their loved ones. Now, that is a concern for families. And the longer that process is taken, the more evidence is being lost from those who are there. I mean, even at the start, the way it was all done, it wasn't done forensically. There was support, of course, from Justice Rapid Response at the time and others. But over the period, folks can't understand why steps are not being taken, or even if steps are being taken. I know there are steps being taken because right now the committee has been formed. But then it's just that information is slow. I think I'm sure Deputy Spokesman, you would agree with us that communication is key. We all love to hear things and we all want to know, and it boosts us, even though it might be just rubbing our egos, but we need to know, and people want to know a whole lot more that it's coming out at the pace at which it's coming out. So that's why we also need to be able to feed them with information much more periodically and more timely so that they get to know. I don't doubt that the government is taking measures. I know because of our work in the process, it's working on both sides and in the interest of the victims, and then also being open, transparent, and with a lot of degree of integrity to communicate what the government is also doing. But then it's just that some things from the victims' perspectives, some things don't seem to be done. When you talked about ECOWAS, ECOWAS almost is putting us with a commission, with a parliamentary position, almost putting us at a place where it literally pulled the carpet under the rug of the feet of those who thought they were standing clear and firm, because of what their opinion stated. And that's an unfavorable opinion. So now we would have expected a lot more coming from the government side to say, this is an unfavorable opinion. The president is working with others. We know it's being done. And this hopefully will change the course. And the course being that we want this to be an international tribunal, a hybrid process with ECOWAS member states involved, because also a number of victims are ECOWAS member states. And in that process, would also be able to have international crimes, which our laws do not cater for at this point in time, being tried under that jurisdiction. So that's why, for a number of reasons, we also need an international court system. So we do have the special tribunal which the Chief Justice has talked about since the legal year of 2023, and that is to be up and running. They've even appointed and mentioned those male and female judges that have been appointed to that process, but no more information has come through. So information is key, information is relevant, and updates are also important. You invite me for dinner, I come to your place and I'm sitting there for hours and hours on end and really don't know what's going on. I might think nothing is happening. I might think you might even not give me anything to eat. So should I stay or should I go? But the victims in this case have no choice. They have to stay. They want to know about reparations. You talked about it, didn't you? About, people's livelihood condition and stuff. And the medical board, yes, it's been meeting. We've been, as part of the Alliance of Victim-Led Organizations, we've been providing information, and they've been seeing some of those victims. But a whole lot more need to be seen, a whole lot more needs to be done. And so it is that. We're not doubting that there is political will and commitment, but we're just saying that a whole lot more needs to be done, and sooner than later, if possible. And so that some of those resources as well, which are being used for other processes, some of those could come into the TJ space, and be part of the implementation. That's an appeal and a call for action, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, those are good points. I mean, the process, there are efforts, of course, political will, as Sankanu said, but just like Priscilla mentioned, those are areas that could be helped. So, what do you have to say, Priscilla? I mean, Sankanu, before Sam comments. Do you have anything to say to that?
Well, it makes sense. Like I said, we are a reasonable government. We are open to constructive critical dialogue. Anything we do, we want to involve. We are aware of the situation of the victims. And that's why I'm saying that for those who are in their serious situation, there's a health situation, there's a medical board, they cannot wait. And in the initial reparation that has happened when the initial funds were raised, we need to have a budget regular in place. And the issue also with the ECOWAS core partnership, all those international dimensions. That's why we are looking for a sustainable solution. If you look at the draft constitution, it made reference to an internationalized court, which means that we are putting structures in place, not just to prosecute or to avoid to correct the remedies, but to ensure that there are safeguards to avoid implementation. So it is multidimensional. We are aware of the urgent situation of the victims as a government, and we are aware of, okay, the information that is coming in, because it has to go through a lot of instance of processing. Like me, I'm a government spokesperson. I'm as good as information that is provided to me by either a particular component of the Gambia government. So when I get an information, I have to verify it, because I'm like, the fact checker of the state. So we're also not rushing to issue information, but we want to also be bastion of credibility. If victim or victim-led organization comes to me as deputy government spokesman, want to know something, I should be in a position to give credible information. That's why we are not rushing, because you can give an information that will have a negative impact on the life of people. I learned my lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, where we have to issue information that's going to affect life of people. So issuing information is good, but we have to also issue it in a way that, it doesn't cause harm. So that's why, as a strategic communicator of the state that we are, a lot is happening, as you can see, but we are also very careful to make sure that when the information is out, it is useful, it is reliable, and it's something that people can add value. So yes, it cannot be as fast as the victims will want it, but we are doing our best. It requires a lot of resources. It requires a lot of collaborative efforts. And we are not just looking at today, we are also looking at tomorrow. We don't want to, in 10, 20 years' time, to be in another situation like this. So it is about, like I said from the beginning, restructuring, rebuilding, and transforming the entire society. So it's a whole generational project, you can say.
Thank you. Okay, so I can let my co-host Ceesay come in here. I know he has some thoughts on this or questions.
Yeah, well, thank you both. It's definitely good to hear your part in what you all said here. For the two of you, very, very important. I am a person that looks for solutions when there is a problem. I am a person that don't want to talk about a problem too much, because a problem already existed or a problem is already there. I want to get to solutions by looking at the root cause and then take action and solve the problem first. Just like I'll give a perfect example. When a house catches fire, right? When a house is on fire and you call the fire department to come in, fire department doesn't come in to start asking people who started this fire, where did it start, when did it start, what room, and how did it start. They want to put out a fire first, then go to the root cause and find those and bring the root causes to bring solutions so that this doesn't happen again, right? So I like to look at it from that standpoint. And I've spoken about this before. When TRRC started, and I saw people went on the TRRC and confessed to what they've done. That was the time I came out. I said to the government, I said, well, we know who did what now, right? So are we going to wait for a number of years to solve the problem? Yeah, we're going to look into root cause and all that stuff and put strategies in place. But the very first thing to do, I think, in my mind, is to start satisfying the victims is to take action. What action do you take? People that confess that they've killed someone, really pull them out of the government immediately. You need to take immediate action by putting them on investigative suspension. If you put them on investigative suspension, since TRRC is not a court of law, is a commission, but the commission that was doing fact findings, there are certain facts that was revealed to the whole country, and everybody in the world can see them. I thought it was a good time to say, all right, these people that are involved in these murders and several crimes, we should put them on investigative suspension, meaning pull them out of the government, show the victims that we care. They said they did it themselves. We don't have to wait for court, because we have that tape that's where it says, yes, they did this. So pull them out of the government, put them on investigative suspension, start there. So that way, one, you started something before even waiting for the whole thing to come, because the victims are crying. Victims were crying and continue to cry. Victims are suffering. And the longer you wait, the more the victims' representatives may also, some people, I'll put it this way, some people that are representing their family in this situation may even die and get buried before their victims get given back to the family to go bury. So the family spokesperson that's speaking for the family, standing for the victim, is waiting, and the whole family is waiting for answers. So I thought the government's process of doing this was too slow for me, really too slow. And this should have been part of the priority list. I know everything